Welcome to the Recruitment Founders Podcast, the place to kickstart your journey to running a successful recruitment business. In each episode, you'll get knowledge, tips, and real-life stories to help you take your business from startup to whatever you want it to be. At Recruitment Founders Club, we'll show you how to follow a proven path to success, tap into a network of top-notch mentors, and join a community that thrives on collaboration and shared wins. You run the business, and we make sure you succeed.
So, mate, we're here today, got another episode.
Coming in thick and fast now, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. We've got a very interesting guest, a guy that's
top guest.
Special to both of us.
Yeah.
And, without further ado, let's introduce PJ.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a really nice intro, thank you.
Yeah.
Your special.
Overdid it a little bit, though, I think.
Do you think?
Yeah.
I mean, special's a big word, isn't it? I mean, when I
I'm
think
happy to
special,
roll with that.
I think Jose Mourinho. I'll take it.
Unai Emery.
Well, yeah.
On
yeah.
the Villa page.
Yeah, okay. Well, we should restart then, to be fair. I can't lean into that. How is everything? Everything all right?
Yeah, good, yeah. What about you?
I'm all right, mate. Thanks for having me on. It's quite, I mean, I've spoken to you a million times before, haven't I, over the last 20-odd years, especially with you, Lindsay.
Yeah.
I've known you a lot longer than Greg. But when you're talking this sort of environment, it starts feeling a bit different, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm quite nervous.
Well, it's mildly professional, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
unlike a lot of our conversations.
I think that's the
Let's be honest.
difference, isn't it? That's that new piece, I suppose. This is a professional chat around things that we don't probably often talk about over a beer. But I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. But we have known each other for ages, haven't we?
Yeah, met you.
Is it 20?
It's got to be. So I did.
20 years
I did
ago?
a bit of reality TV back in 2002. What's that? 23 years ago. And I think.
And what was that for anybody that doesn't know you? Unlikely.
Big Brother. Well, National Lottery Jet Set. I did that. Do you remember that with Eamon Holmes? Did that for an half. Then I did a thing called The Villa. Random sort of like. I don't know why I did that. That was crazy, man. I think it was Mr. Mangle or something on Sky One or whatever.
Mr. Mangle.
Remember him? Yeah, Joe Mangle. And then I did Big Brother 3. So,
Came third. Did you come third?
Nah, did I? Yeah.
You did. Kate Lawler won it.
Kate looked, I think 5th or 6th. I don't know, mate. To be fair, I didn't get to the last week.
I thought you were
No,
third.
I think Jade Goody was 3rd.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, the big hitters: Alison, Jade, bless her, Spencer, Kate, Johnny.
Still good mates with them, aren't you? Alison and Kate,
But that's one of the best things to come out of Big Brother. To be fair, I met some really lovely people. I had 3 years out of. I was supposed to be a lawyer. I had all my qualifications. Had to bring those forward to get onto the show and stuff. Which sort of came easy to me. That I sort of love that sort of stuff, and that was all born out of me being quite a socially awkward kid back in the day, like quite a good footballer. Went to a big footballing school, and then wasn't playing football. I was in the library, sort of seeking a bit of refuge, like reading books and that. Yeah. So when I wasn't a footballer, I wish. In fact, I met the guy that used to train me a couple of weeks ago, and he said, "Oh, you were never going to make it anyway." I said, "Why not?" He said, "You seen the size of them knees?" I said, "You should have told me that when I was desperately thinking I was going to be a footballer." But yeah, when I got released, like we all do, my advice as career-wise was to be a lawyer. So that sort of was part for a bit whilst I went on and did my old little Z-list celebrity stuff after Big Brother, which was great. But the best thing was I met some brilliant people. Including yourself.
Yeah, that's still really good. You're really good mates with now.
Yeah.
And this episode, we're going to kind of talk about personal branding, aren't we? That's going to be the overarching theme.
Yeah.
And you're somebody that since coming out of that celebrity environment, you haven't been afraid to kind of move around a bit and trying to find your calling over those years, haven't you? What works well for you? Yeah. That's how we met, wasn't it? You tried your luck in recruitment for a bit, didn't you?
Well, I didn't know what recruitment was, if I'm honest. I remember thinking, right, this Big Brother thing is sort of fizzling out, falling off a cliff, whatever it might be. Very much thought, right, it's been 3 years, I've had a good time, 2.5 years, whatever it might be. There are certain things that, I'm going to draw a line in the sand. I said to the agent at the time, as if I had an agent, and I said, "Look, mate, unless it's like a massive like gig, I think we're done."
Yeah.
Anyway, the phone went, and this convinced me that it was done, because the phone went. It was him, and I thought, "Oh, this is massive! Like, I wonder what it is." And he said, "Do you know Beauty and the Beast?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, it's on, in next year at the some
Hippodrome,
some awesome theatre in London or something.
Yeah,
wherever. Yeah, it was in London." I said, "Oh, yeah." And he said, "Well, they want you to be the Beast." I was like, "Mate, that's ridiculous. That's so cool. Like, I haven't really got any acting experience, but that's amazing." He said, "Oh, well, not actually in the show." Like he said, when people turn up to the gig and they're waiting outside, they want you to be dressed up as the Beast and welcome them. I was like, right, I've definitely got to get back into real life
like a
now.
football club mascot.
Yeah, the mascot. I was like, why do I need to have been in Big Brother to have done that? No one's going to know it's me. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So that was definitely the calling for me to start looking at what was, real life, I suppose. And I'd looked at, I don't know whether it was in like the paper back then, I don't know, but I'd seen something that I wasn't really sure what it was all about. Sales on the phone. And then
it's probably a rec to record or
possibly, I don't know, mate, to be fair. But I ended up meeting you and we had, really connected and
hit it off straight away.
Yeah, we did, yeah. I mean, within months, I was like, when
I got sent to close you, I did by Lindsay.
Really? Yeah, I remember you closing me saying something like, if you don't come and join me, you'll be introduced to K and O or something like that. I was like, what's that mean? But no, it was a great experience. Really enjoyed it. Met some great people through that as well.
Yeah.
Mike. Eventually Greg, Jay. Some great people for dust. I still love Sonny. Remember Sonny?
Sonny Petal.
Sonny Petal, man. Just like fell asleep, ended up in Wolverhampton.
No, ended up in Real.
Ended up in Real after a night out.
He was pulling into Wolverhampton and he texted his missus and said, I'm just pulling in now, can you come and meet me? And then immediately fell asleep. Woke up in Real, he'd had 70 missed calls off his missus.
I mean, it was a
2 in the morning, had to get a cab home from Real.
It was a great experience. I remember us trying to sell him pizza delivery. That'll probably be ended today. But yeah.
It was fun.
It was good fun. And then obviously I've ended up meeting Greg through recruitment as well, repurposing myself, I think it's part of the journey, mate, to be fair. I think there was a time where I thought, I'm reinventing myself far too often here. And I think it was probably a mix of me not really understanding what I wanted to do,
but also knowing the thing that you're doing at the moment is not right for you, so you move on, don't you? Yeah. And a lot of people don't do that though, do they? They just stick with it and accept that they're going to be unhappy in a role or a career. And
I've trusted my gut sometimes, and it's worked out. And I think you've got to understand what does working out mean to you. I think for me initially it was money. I thought it was just like money. That was my driver. And that was probably because I thought I'd get that through football maybe, and then through law and all that sort of. Then Big Brother came along and they're just throwing money at you. And I thought, well, actually, that's what it's all about. None of that was about purpose, really. None of that was about finding sort of a sense of belonging or a real, as I say, purpose. And then as you get older and your journey sort of like takes you into different spaces and you have different experiences, you start better understanding, I think, what you want out of life.
Yeah.
And you have to reinvent yourself, regardless of whether that means moving into different roles or different positions, or the way you present yourself to people, or how you articulate what you do across different platforms, or even when you're, down the pub with your mates. We talk about personal brand. You instantly think about LinkedIn and social media. I think it sort of transcends that. I think it's all, you've got to commit to this brand, yourself at all times.
Yeah,
it's been fun. It's been fun.
Yeah, and I think when we talk about like reinventing yourself, I think that's quite literal. Sounds quite terminal for different chapters. Whereas I think, certainly you've done this in my eyes. You've evolved. And it's not like reinventing means I'm stopping being this and I'm being that. Whereas I think in various different arenas, you've taken a skill under that banner, and whilst the new banner is quite different, you're still evolving the same skill set. And look, I think for the listeners that don't know the connection with you and the pod, so PJ is a board advisor at RFC, one of the first faces that all of our sort of 7 or 8 brands have met when they come into the business. You've helped them with their company brand, their personal brand, and so on. I mean, just tell us a little bit about your background in that marketing space, because I think that's really interesting.
And before you get into that, I don't know if you know this, but when we whiteboarded RFC around Greg's house, when we designed what it was going to be, the framework for the business and the people that we wanted to get involved, when we decided we wanted a board together, you were one of the first on the list, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It was like we just wanted you involved.
That's really nice.
It was like there was no question about it.
I feel like it's like Simon Cowell like moment, and it you had that big whiteboard as to who's going to be in your team. That's cool. I mean, I was honoured for you to talk to me about this, because I think there's that entrepreneur in me that loves startups, loves, when you mention community, bringing people together, support, all those things that I've always probably needed in my journey that sometimes I didn't get, or sometimes I thought I had but probably didn't, whether that be the right people or the right environment. I think going back to the question in relation to why I've ended up around this conversation with RFC, my journey, I think I bring a number of different sort of skill sets and experiences. So yeah, we talk about Big Brother, but I went back into law. I was a lawyer for like 9 years. So, that I didn't really enjoy that experience.
Long path as well, isn't it, to get...
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was more so the fact that I'd gone to university, I'd gone to law school, I'd got it all ready to go. I had a training contract with a big firm who gave me a year off to go and enjoy the fallout of Big Brother. And then I asked him for another year off, and he said, "Nah, bugger off, like." So yeah, it was recruitment for a couple of weeks, or however long it was, and then I did a number of things, and I fell into marketing basically. I ended up having my own digital marketing agency for about 7-8 years. I was on my own for a little bit.
Blake 7?
Blake 7, yes. I set up on my own, yeah. So my boy, Blake, my daughter was born on the 7th of the 7th. 10% of the best performers of digital agencies on Google had a number in their name. So I thought, Blake 7, why not? Didn't realise that Blake's 7 is like a defunct or whatever the word is, an old school sort of Star Trek sort of community.
I used to watch it,
Really,
that was my era, that was.
So I used to get loads of people contact me, go, "Oh, you're selling any memorabilia?" I was like, "No, I'm just selling social media, like packages." Do any paid marketing? And within that, I'd also fell into charity. So I'd helped set up a big cancer charity, and that I was a trustee there for 2 years and did a lot around fundraising, and started to realise actually I really quite enjoy this whole idea of giving back, like helping other people out. Birmingham had been great to me at that point. I think I'd had a really nice life, but I was just lacking in what is this all about? I'm getting up, I'm going to a job that's soulless. It's making me money. It's affording me that lifestyle that I thought I wanted, but I'm unhappy. What's that all about? So I set up a charity called Love Brum. Did that for 10 years. I've helped set up other charities and blah, blah, blah. And then, I had my marketing business, and I sold that in inverted commas. I'm not off to the Bahamas anytime soon, but my business partner has merged with a huge agency, and I went off and started to do non-exec work and all this, and then I lost my mum, and so that's another part of my journey. Mm-hmm. So this, what I'm quite proud of, and no doubt we'll come on to this, is actually at one point in my life I started to think, oh, you know what? I'm not building out any sort of I'll never have had a job for 25 years. I'll never have had that pension that, I always thought was the right thing to do, and you retire at 60 and all that sort of stuff. But actually, I'm hopeful that when the time comes, I'm not too sure this happens because I've seen what death looks like now, and it's not as poetic as often as you think it might be, in that you get that opportunity to think and reflect. But if I do get that opportunity to reflect, I'll know that I've had a number of chapters in my life, and I do call them chapters. Yeah. Because I think a lot of this next generation might not have jobs for 25 years because they've got so many opportunities. So they'll have sort of defined chapters, and within those chapters there'll be different parts of growth and education and learning and whatever it might be. And I think I'm quite proud of my career. It's not been linear, but it's certainly been full of adventure and laughs and ups and downs and lefts and lessons and learns, and for that I'll be grateful for you.
Yeah, I think just on that point, I mean, certainly from a recruitment perspective that I'm seeing, when I started my career nearly 20 years ago, there was a lot of stigma around people if they'd only done 2 years here, 3 years there. My dad worked for a company for 30 years. Yep. He got colleagues that had been there 40 years.
Yep.
And don't get me wrong, that still exists.
That was the norm, wasn't it?
That still exists, but that was the norm. Whereas now, people having a job for 2 years, 3 years, moving on. There's no stigma against that now. It's accepted that.
I think if anything, it's actually seen as being attractive.
This is it. It's seen that you could go in there 18 months to 2.5 years, lead a transformation, or do this or do that, and actually have made an impact. Whereas I think a lot of the, in my early career, people looked at a CV, only been there 4 years. Well, couldn't, Well, she's done 2.5 years there. It was seen as this something must be wrong, especially if
you're sales.
They can't have performed there. And actually, I think that's really changed now. And I think to your point, we've all got kids of a similar age. Obviously, Blake's a couple of years older than our oldest, but they're all a very similar age. I think it's going to be quite normal for them to have multiple jobs in a 10-year period, or even I do see a future where people may hold down multiple jobs at once.
Yeah.
And your career is more, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? You've got more of a transient sort of...
Yeah, it's like a portfolio career.
Portfolio type of career. I think that's going to happen, particularly for service-based industries rather. Does that come from? Service-based industries. Yes,
I mean, that's if there's any jobs around in the next few years. But
that's to my point. I think, you know, with the digital age, you know, and AI coming in, I think people are going to have a more portfolio type approach because just being, let's say, being a 40, 50 hour week marketing manager for a company, you're not going to be most companies aren't going to need that. They're going to use AI, and they might have somebody that pilots that AI and can do that in 8 hours a week. Therefore, that marketing manager might do that for 5 companies. And that's still a permanent employed job. Maybe, I don't know.
I sense that. I fell into this sort of portfolio career at the moment, you know, and, you know, it requires a certain type of energy. And probably a skill set that I'm not brilliant at in relation to time management and structure. But if you nail that, it's a great sort of space to be working in. And I think it's actually born out of, and, you know, talking to your community and anyone else that's thinking about going on their own, I think a lot of it comes down to your personal brand. I really do, because I actually think that everyone is doing it one way or another, you know, whether it be on social media or just meeting people for the first time or being in those groups that you're used to. You're bringing something to the table. And I think if you nail that, and that's a technical term for today, and I don't know whether you will ever nail it, but I think I'm trying to nail it in a way that's working for me. And it has to work for you. You know, you probably have to think about, why am I committing all this time on social media, and why am I turning up to this and trying this and doing that? But actually, I think there is more sort of, what's the word, I suppose, these kids are living on these platforms now, so they're building out these brands and personas and avatars, whatever it might be, that represent themselves naturally without thinking. And off the back of that, I do think people will then respond accordingly. So, who's this lad that's doing this? So this lad might be doing X, Y, and Z out of joy. He might be building Minecraft or whatever it might be, and all of a sudden he'll get like a following, and people will then start giving him brand deals without him even knowing that he's going or creating this opportunity. So actually the exciting thing about personal brand is that it brings opportunities. The challenge is that you've got to understand what it's all about if you are going to invest your time in putting that personal brand thing around, which actually I think is a lot easier than people say it is. We'll come on to that in a minute. And B, I suppose that the pressure then of doing that is something might come out that you're not even too sure of. So I'm still getting opportunities, I would say, that then I'm thinking, why are they asking me to do that? Because you're questioning, why are they asking me to talk about personal brand? Why are they asking me to talk about getting out your own way, imposter syndrome? And then you actually think, well, because I've been talking about it. And that's the not the quandary, but it's like it's quite interesting really when you start committing to a personal brand conversation and piece, the things that come out the back of it. And I think it's really important to talk to people who are thinking about setting up their own businesses, that a lot of it will come down to getting out your own way. You know, you'll start sort of procrastinating about what that logo might look like or what the name of the business might be. But actually, when we talk, I'll probably convince you that it doesn't really matter. What really matters is pressing go. And pressing go around the people that will always support you and give you those platforms to continue to press go. And even if, you know, you press and go, it doesn't really move forward, you've got that environment, that community of people that will support you.
But that's what you're great at doing, though.
We've got a good story with that, because when we started the whole RFC journey, and before we'd got the sort of board set up and you'd confirmed you were going to be involved, etc., we sort of think we went on Canva or a similar 99 Designs, something like this.
You designed a logo.
And I created a logo.
You showed it to me.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
You showed it to me. No, not the one you're thinking of. The original one. And you showed it to me, and I'm like, that's it, done.
Yeah. We
like
were like,
immediately.
Yeah, we were like, that's class.
Yeah.
Like, and we sort of went home pretty happy with ourselves. And then,
Did you see that one?
was
it one all sort of like made up of a shape sort of thing, different shapes?
You would have seen it because I'll come on to what your feedback was, and you said, well, I'll do your website, lads, and I'll help you with the brand and all of that. I said, great. So we showed you this logo, and you were very polite as you are, face to face, and you went, well, I'll go away and I'll just have a look.
Yeah.
And
you politely said it was shit.
His words said it was great. His face said it was shit.
Yeah.
But he's gone away and he's come back with the feedback, and he said it was something like, look, you're trying to create a entrepreneurial recruitment community. You're not a financial investment institution in St James's Park
I do remember that.
in London.
Yeah, it looks a
And
bit
actually,
corporate,
when I looked at it and I looked at, say, some of the companies that had tried to sell me insurance and stuff like that, I'm like, he's nailed it. And you came back with a typography-led logo.
Yeah.
And
well, before that, we went down to cancer research.
you wanted to see.
I was walking through Sutton Town Centre and I saw the cancer research, the C and all the bubbles coming off.
And we got quite busy logos, and we were really getting into it. And you came along and you said, well,
I thought those bubbles could represent the founders and like design
still
it.
Mate. Still might.
And you said, look, that's
crap.
No.
Crap.
Go with this, and it was a typography led logo.
Yeah.
And I remember we were in Renato Lounge together, and
when we saw it first,
I think there was a little bit of like not in an interpersonal sense, just a bit of our egos bruised because we built this logo and we kind of liked it.
Yeah.
And you've come back and our logo looked like X, and your logo and all your wisdom suggesting why it was completely different.
It's just radically different.
And
to
we
what
both,
we isn't it?
straight on, we were like organ reject of the RFC logo.
Yeah.
We did straight away. And we sort of chatted.
I think it's a bit like.
And I said, And I said, I said to John, this is our ego here. Our ego is reacting to this email and this logo.
Yeah.
We need to go away and sleep on it. And we went away and we agreed to meet for breakfast the next day.
Yeah, went back to Renato.
And I'll never forget because we walked in and he's gone, as he did, he's gone, all right, kid, what do you think about it? And I went, what do you think about it? And he went, no. What do you think about it? I went,
what do you think?
I love it. And he went, yeah, I love it too.
Good.
And it was funny that we'd gone away and we'd sort of, hold on, kid.
Cheers.
We'd gone away
Well, I'll tell you why.
and we'd processed it all. And once we took away the emotion of we've shaped the Genesis logo and put that on the shelf. And when we thought about actually, well, what is the business we're hoping to create here? What is the purpose? What's the audience we want to talk to? You'd nailed it. And that is, for clarity, that is the logo of RFC. There's no amends gone into that.
I don't think we will. I've got no intention, but I think, the point is you were really good at managing us on that.
Well, that's bizarre, isn't it?
To Greg's point, there was ego attached to it because we got quite attached to the first
personal
logo.
pride as well, and we put a bit of time into that, and we'd almost got a lot of people interested in being on our board, and also got a few potential founder leads with this logo as part of the business before we launched the company. So to then sort of like have to put that down and move on, but it was the right call. And I remember you just mentioned something about 5 minutes ago where you said to me, don't worry about it being perfect.
Yeah.
Because most companies, I think you said something, whether it was a stat or just your experience.
Yeah, we'll change it.
You'll iterate.
Within the first 6 and 12 months.
You already are, and I think that's the community. Look, what's happened there is literally what you're trying to create in a way of getting people around other people's businesses to support them, to challenge them, to just talk, So I'll say something that probably goes against the grain of most marketing agencies because we used to do big brand work and stuff like that. It's great to have those conversations. It's brilliant to think about what it's all about, why we're doing it, where it's going, how it can sort of grow. But also if you're doing that to the point where it's detrimental, as in you're not pressing go, well, then that's where it's fatal, because just get going, because these logos will change. They can change. You'll do different types of marketing activity that will lean into different, look at this podcast now, but you'll draw from that logo or colour palette, whatever it might be, and develop it. But equally, what I like to hear from that story is the fact that sometimes it is nice to get that little bit of insight from some other people that have done other things. And I think this community you're building is something that really excites me, because that's my safe space. It's not very nice. I'm that person. If I get like a reject, now I know that you didn't even like it straight away, I'm thinking fuming, gutted. Maybe I needed to deliver that, whatever it might be. And that's just the way we're wired as humans. But actually, when you sleep on it and you do just relax, more people around that conversation is always better.
Yeah.
And I think that community thing that you're growing is exactly why I was convinced it would work, because I've been there on my own. I've been round the table. I've created my own logos. I've done my own social media, and it can be painful, man. Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I merged. Ironically, with hindsight, where my business was going with Blake 7 was going to get some serious growth. If I'd carried on, that would have been serious growth. More financially than I probably got out of growing a business to 30 members of staff and having that swanky office where we met and all that sort of stuff, right? But I'm not sure it would have gone there, because I started already to feel alone and, in a silo. I couldn't bounce ideas off the people I wanted to bounce ideas off. So when you come to me and said all those things around community, and, you were going to grow this board of people that are going to give, the board you can't afford, it's a bit cliche, but these kids, some of them are older than me, that are looking to restart their own journeys and chapters in their life, which looks like they're going to take control of what their career looks like, when they're going to work, how they're going to work, who they're going to work with. That just inspires me to help people like that, because I know how challenging it is myself.
Yeah, and we've seen you do it with all of our founders. Every single founder we've brought in, some of them have had an idea, haven't they, of what their logo is or the name of their company, but none of them have got a clear picture. And the journey that you've taken them all on, we've seen it firsthand, haven't we?
Yeah,
and it's a thing that they worry about the most, I think. Yeah, I think it's the thing. We talk about procrastination. Fear holds people back, doesn't it, from pulling the trigger? But I imagine there's a lot of recruiters out there that would like to go alone and set up their own recruitment business, but they're sitting there. We spoke about this before the pod, didn't we? And we're like, they probably just don't know, what am I going to call my company? Yeah. What's the brand going to be? What's my brand going to be? What does the logo look like? And all of these things they're not as important as what they might think they are.
If you think about them,
but then there's someone like you that can just guide them on that journey.
Well, that's really nice of you to say that. And I don't want to downplay the work that people within this space bring to businesses and brands and stuff like that, because it's one of those things. I think you'll do it thinking what comes easy to you. Sometimes you forget it's actually been born out of growing a business for the last 10 years, and you think actually this is really easy, and it's not. But the easy thing is that I'm desperately trying to convince people when it comes to brand is just get started. Because the irony is when you talk about, and it comes back to personal brand, you can talk about all these impressive people that you've got in the community. This sounds really difficult for me to say this, but you might say, oh, that PJ is impressive. What's my logo? I haven't got one. I haven't got a logo. So actually the personal brand piece is really important. Yeah. So you can be calling yourself New or Rec, for the rest of your lives, but people will know Chris Coyne. He's the expert in his space. You think AI, you think Chris. Yeah. You think, you think Web3, you think Manny, you think whatever it might be, So that's really important. That logo, that website, in the world that we live in now, where literally people are consuming things so much quicker, I don't think they've really got that time to invest around what the logo and the platform really looks like. Don't get me wrong, it's important. But the personal brand and how you position yourself and articulate the why and the reasons and how, I think is so much more important.
I think my takeaway personally from, working with you on a professional level in the last few years is that the brand, like my company, as it were, my company logo, if it passes the sniff test, most of the time that's fine. Yeah. It's your personal brand that people are buying into. And I've really worked on that personally myself over the last few years because, and you two both been on that journey with me. I was fish out of water, felt really uncomfortable about writing anything on LinkedIn or whatever. and you've massively, both of you, frankly, have massively helped and inspired me on that journey. But it's only recently I've rebranded my business.
Yeah.
You know, you've done that
Yeah.
again.
That's lovely.
But that's because there's
Got there in the
multiple.
end.
Got there in the end.
But there's multiple people
Yeah,
involved in that now, and that probably carries a little bit more weight. But ultimately, it's still the personal branding that gets me meetings. It's that wins me work, gets me assignments, gets me through the door. You know, the company brand maybe pads us out a little bit when we do
I think
a
it
bid.
does, mate. Yeah, it gives you that sort of credence, doesn't it, or credibility, whatever. So you've got 4 people very skilled within all the spaces in which they work within day 2, right? And people will fall across a Miriam or Patricia or yourself or Muriel. Sorry.
Class.
You nearly got it
Or
wrong.
Muriel.
Yeah.
And they'll go, oh, these are interesting. These are cool. I can invest in them. And don't get me wrong, the day 2 brand will play a part in that because they'll land on that sort of, what's the word? They'll land on that show piece or showcase piece, whether it be a website, PDF, whatever.
Yeah.
And it gives you that professional brand, you know, it will represent what you're all about. You know, you wouldn't expect to go on to day 2 and see loads of cartoon characters. Remember those cartoon characters at RFC?
Yeah.
They're slowly being removed from this agenda, aren't they? Because, you know, you're growing, it's feeling different. It feels
But I think my point is day two for its first 6 years has had a website that I couldn't even tell you really what was on it.
Yeah, exactly.
I couldn't tell you what it looked like. And actually it's not been important. It's not held me back.
Yeah.
Yes, I've iterated it now heavily to move into that next chapter because there's more people involved in the business. But when I started that business as a solopreneur, you know, you were one of the people that's helped me just lean into my personal branding.
Have you leaned into that then? What was that? What's that thing? What do you think personal brand is?
I think for me...
I was going to ask you that.
All right, well, I'm trying to prepare now. What's the way for Greg to give you the answer?
Yeah, I'll try and give you half your answer. But I think the biggest takeaway, what I would say around that, my journey with you guys on that, is getting out my own way.
Yeah, man.
Right. So your point about, you made a point about companies, it's not that important. Just launch it and it'll iterate. Just get on with it. Get out there. That's the biggest thing. That's what personal branding has been to me.
Yeah.
Is, you know, I write content that's often off the hook. It's not all scheduled a month in advance. And,
good.
You know, got a lovely Canva image with it. You know, off the hook. It's genuine.
Yeah.
It's opinion based often.
Yeah.
My opinion rather than, you know, quoting some CEO in the industry.
Yeah.
And I just get out my own way.
Good. I like it.
I used to, you know, post and keep rereading the post and make sure I was happy with every word. And
I'll write it and stare at it for half an hour before you...
And sometimes they're not posted.
Not even posted,
You know, whereas now I just sort of, you know, now I know I'm not going to... reminds me of the old Bo Selector scene. Remember that "Don't say fuck or bugger" or whatever it was. You know, I know I'm not going to put something out there that's going to, you know, offend people.
Yeah.
I might put stuff out there that's not as good.
Yeah.
Right. But I just project, and as long as I can stand behind the message that I put out there, I put it out there.
Yeah. Good.
And I would say that, you know, to a degree, people know me now for something.
Yeah.
Where without my involvement in that platform and the other platform, well, it's mainly LinkedIn I use, but people wouldn't know me for anything.
Yeah.
Only the people that you speak directly to. And I think that's the importance of personal branding.
I think what's strong, like you and Lindsay, is it Jockey or Lindsay on this podcast?
What you want, mate.
You and Jocks are like, this is what I think personal brand is. Authenticity, right? So it can be wrapped up in a, you know, you can wear all pink or you can wear all blue or you can wear a hat or different types of shoes, whatever it might be. You can bring a brand in the sense of wearing and projecting yourself as to look like something, if that makes sense. But I think it all boils down to just being authentic. You know, why would you want to build out a personal brand journey
It's fake.
that isn't you?
Yeah.
The last thing you want in life is to sort of be judged on something you're not. You know, so I think one of those things about getting out your own way is actually understanding that you've got your own story, that your story is interesting. And I think the bonus or the best thing you've got, your advantage is that you are, you know, you're probably best in the world at being yourself. Like, you know, there's no one else that will be able to articulate how you're feeling.
Yeah.
No one else will be able to sort of shine a light on the things that you care about. No one else will be able to tell you about your challenges and your experiences than yourself. And I think once you start understanding that, there's a real superpower there.
Yeah, and whether you're projecting a fake version of yourself or you are being authentic, whatever version of that you are, there's going to be some people that are going to like it and some people that aren't going to like it.
100%.
So you might as well be true to yourself, because not everybody's going to like that, but great.
Yeah, 100%. I think.
So why not be? And a lot of people can't be authentic. Though.
I was just going to interject on that. It's making me think. Like, imagine how emotionally tolling it is if you're somebody that's got a personal brand that isn't authentic. Because the whole point of having a personal brand is to get some inbound traction.
Well, it's a good question. I was going to say,
imagine getting inbound traction.
Yeah.
Right. And you have got to remember which
lie lie
you've got to answer the phone with, or which persona has got to be on this email. And I think that's yeah.
Yeah, I think there is like a caricature sometimes you can play. There's people that are personal brand experts, and you'll meet them in person, and they're not that. They are the person, but that brand piece isn't as strong and that's perfectly fine. You can't always live in this sort of like a highly opinionated sort of storytelling mode. I get that, but yeah, I mean, I think my challenge from a personal brand, and I'm getting better at it, is why, right? Why are we even talking about a personal brand? Just think about that for a moment. Because actually what I'm trying to say is that the only way to build out your personal brand is to be authentic, right? So just to be yourself, which is challenging sometimes, because if you're a people pleaser, you're going to be so scared of upsetting somebody, right? So you're going to try and, what's the word? You can't be everyone's cup of tea. Because if you are, you'll be a mug or something like that. I don't know what the saying is, but you can't please everyone, right? So you've already got to understand that even being yourself, you're going to have an opinion that might divide, right?
Yeah.
So then you start thinking, okay, well, if I'm going to have all these stresses and not waste, but commit all that time it is to build that personal brand by being myself, what is the point if I don't really understand why I'm doing it? What's the point? You might as well go and spend some time with your kids. You might as well go and read a book. Because if you're just turning up for a dopamine hit to get some likes, but you're not getting any leads, you're not getting any sort of like real valuable exposure, you're not having an opinion, you're just generated like AI verbiage that just goes, right? You're not cutting through, you're not sticking. What's the point?
Well, the dopamine hit might be enough for you.
It might be, yeah.
So we all want different things, don't we?
100%. But I would say, if that's the only reason, I would say from the sake of humanity, find that dopamine hit somewhere else. Yeah. Go for a walk, go and spend some time with your kids, read a book to them, because that's your real personal brand, that legacy you leave behind. Yeah. Because you want them to have that reminder of what a person you are, not some guy that's going to give you 2 likes on LinkedIn and never really help you grow. What you're really doing these things for, your kids. Yeah. So I think it's a real powerful point when you start thinking, every time I say yes to this time and energy I need to grow this personal brand, I'm saying no to something else.
Yeah, and I think that links to I look at all of the brands we've launched for RFC. I look at some of the workshops you've led for the community. We talk about sort of what's your purpose, what's the link to the brand, and I look at all of our founders. They operate in a market in which they clearly have a personal interest in. They want to be an expert in it. And, I think looking at at a macro level, what is RFC here to do and what's this podcast here to do? So RFC, we're launching new recruitment companies. This podcast is hopefully helping those people along that journey or giving some people some nuggets. The ones that I see struggle are the ones that have entered a market because they think money's there.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if that is their sole reason for recruiting, DevOps in this market, or, if I had £1 for every post I saw on LinkedIn at the moment from recruiters who have got absolutely jack experience in and around energy that are now a data center expert. Right.
Yeah.
It's because they've read a few news articles and see it as a hot market.
Yeah.
It will just be a flash in the pan. And actually, from a personal branding perspective and then from a company branding perspective, it's rooted in nothingness to me.
Yeah. I think. Right. So, yeah, I'm with you. And there's, far too often people popping up saying they are now an X, Y, and Z. When you start thinking, I'm not entirely sure about that. But equally, I've been on that journey where I've had to reinvent myself. And what I would say, I think you're right. I think there are people, we all fake it till we make it to a degree. If there were those people out there that did see that opportunity in a market, and it was just about money, and that was after really challenging themselves, their main driver and their real purpose to make as much money as they could, and they saw energy as being that space in which they can do that, all I would say to them is be honest to yourself, because actually, ironically, if you do start talking about your journey openly, about why you're doing it, people will resonate with that journey more. So instead of pretending you're an expert in that energy space, well, Bab. Another one of our community members just turned up. What a legend she is as well. So I think my point is here, there's a lot of people testing the water. There's a lot of people exploring different spaces. But the power of personal brand is if you tell the truth, people will follow you more. Yeah. So actually, ironically, you might not be as expert as you are within a space, but if you tell nicer, more stories that resonate with people, they might be the ones that are remembered more often than others. What is it, Maya? What's that lady, Maya Angelou, is it, or something? It says, her quote is, people might not remember what you say to them, but they'll certainly remember how you make them feel. I think that's the quote, isn't it? Or something like that. I've probably hashed it or whatever.
Especially if you look at like social media, it's such a powerhouse, isn't it? And everybody's posting, everybody's projecting. But if you scroll through, I mean, look, LinkedIn's the only profile, the only platform that I'm on. But 80% of what you scroll through is just junk, isn't it? And it's generic and it's vanilla stuff where people are afraid to project the real version of themselves, like in case somebody like shoots them down or disagrees with their opinion. Yeah. But surely that's what you want, right? You want to strike up debate, you want to strike up opinion.
There's different ways, isn't
there? To your point, that's how people are going to remember you.
I suppose it's what you want out of it. If you want to be a thought leader, you probably do have to be a bit contrarian. You have to encourage that conversation. So if you want to be an expert, well then talk about that expert. And if you're an expert, if you're talking about utilities and infrastructure, if you're talking about neuromodulation, the chances are that you won't get hundreds and hundreds of likes. But what you two are doing, and I'll come back full circle as to why you two are really good at personal brand, is actually what I see is what I see. So if I talk to you in a pub, you are as expert as I see on LinkedIn. Or if I talk to you in a pub, you are as a family man as I see. And I think that is really, really important, because if you turn up and you are playing that role that isn't then being able to be played in front of a real life audience, you've just completely
you found out.
You've lost the audience. And actually what I like about you guys, and I'll say things about, so you'll think about, if I said to you the question is to me, who's the best at personal brand online, right? You could easily go to the Justin Welshes, the Amelia Sordells, all that sort of stuff. But actually I would say the Andy Dawsons, I'd say the Scarlett Hortons, I'd say the Lindsay Hartlands, I'd say the Greg Altons, because actually, if you look, it's not polished, it's not super. The cadence is good, so it's you're talking a lot on the platform in which you want to talk on, which is important, right? It's real. There's a mix and blend of the spaces in which you operate. So it could be something about the family, it could be about growth, it could be about struggles as to how hard it is in the business, and then it could go full circle and talk about the space that you work in. But it's just real, and it isn't really. You can tell it's not actually. I'd like to think that you got out your way now, and you can feel that you're posting the right stuff for the right reasons. So try and think about how often you engage with your posts. When I was doing it for the wrong reasons, I would post, and then I'd be looking at likes. Yeah. I'd be looking at likes. How many likes have I got?
The Beggy Mitchell.
Yeah, Beggy Mitchell. And my mates used to go, PJ Begovic,
it doesn't matter.
Do you want a sausage and beg sandwich? That, and it doesn't, it's the conversations that come off it. So I suspect, right, anyone that's interested in personal brand and think they're nailing it or think they're doing it in the right way, one of the challenges I'd give you 2 pieces of homework. One, right, would be look back at those posts that you really feel responded in a way that you want them posts to respond. As in, for me, it's opportunity at the moment. it is a brand exercise. Look at me, I love Birmingham and all that sort of stuff. But actually, I look at like who's engaged, why are they engaged, what does that DM feel like, what is it, what they're asking me to do. And they're the ones that I sort of try and lean into more because they're the ones that are bringing me the joy. They might be the opportunities that I want to do more of. And I think that's really important. And also, if you're not there yet, think about your own story. That's your homework. Go back. Contact me if you want. I'll send you the homework out. There's 7 questions that you ask yourself about that moment in time where things changed for you, where that person in your life said something. All those pieces that you can create like a story arc. We all film buffs, don't we? And we'll all remember that sort of piece that goes from here to there. Yeah. And that's just your own story. And if you tell that, people will respond. So I think with the Recruitment Founders Club, the story I love the most about this, and I would implore, that's the word of today, all our community founders to do, is to tell their story. Why are they here? What are they doing? Why have they backed themselves? Because others will follow them, not only into a space that they'll get the similar sort of support network that you guys have given, but also into a space that enables them, that helps them do the things that they want to do, to get out their own way, to get out of the mundane, to get out of that 9 to 5 that they don't want to do anymore, and come into a space where it brings them more joy. And I think it's vital. That is that support that you guys have given. And it's not just about personal brand. It's not just about colouring in a logo. It's not just about it's community and confidence. It's installed in that. That's the thing. That is definitely one thing I'd say to anyone that's thinking about setting up their own business at the moment. Understand that once you find the people around you, and I would suggest that it's RFC, of course. Just tell your story, have some fun. Fun is the most underrated skill or thing that you can bring to business, right? So if you are going to be growing a personal brand for whatever reason, have some bloody fun at the same time. Have some fun in yourself. Test the water. Say things you wouldn't say sometimes. Don't be naughty, don't be racist, don't be horrible. Just be nice and clean, but have a nice little go at saying the things. I posted a photo the other day of me and Mr. Egg. It blew up. And the quote was, "Here's my wife with her 2 favourite eggs," but it blew up. And it blew up because I got opportunities that are about Birmingham, about celebrating the city in which I love, about bringing some sort of civic pride back into this city. And that was off the back of posting a photograph of me and an egg. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated. Yeah. It just has to tell your story.
And your photo with your missus and my lookalike as well, apparently.
Oh, yeah, Joe Lycett. That blew up as well. Now you've told me you look like...
I get called Joe Lycett, David Platt or Gerwin Price.
Gerwin Price. Gerwin Price. Bang on, man. Gerwin Price, man. He's ripped.
But you go have a laugh with it, haven't you?
Yeah, what I would say, and this is another thing, right? What you guys do well is you post from your company page. Now, you think a personal brand, right? And you think, I've said, this is probably going against what I've said before, and I say about, the business logo and all that is not as important. It is important, of course it is. But it's a real little tip this is. Post from your company page like it's a person. And look at the traction you guys get. Yeah. Got nearly 4,000 followers on your company page. And it's actually something that falls into my algorithm probably as often as you and Greg do.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a brilliant opportunity that a lot of these businesses miss. But it's hard work. It's not easy. I'm sure you'll talk to other advisors. Scarlett's got a great brand. It's not easy. So you've got to understand why you're doing it. Because it's not
But the easy bit's being yourself, isn't it? I think we've talked a lot about that today, haven't we? It's about what version of you are you projecting? What is your personal brand? Mm-hmm. Is it a fake version of yourself or is it you?
Yeah.
That part's easy, but actually promoting that, putting that there, that does hold a lot of people back.
It does.
So get out your own way. That's a big thing that's come out today, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Start storytelling, start telling stories and being the true version of yourself. And that's I think we've agreed that is your personal brand, isn't it? The authenticity.
Yeah. And I'm sure those people listening to that will take a lot from that.
Yeah. And, great advice today, PJ.
Thanks, PJ.
No, thanks for coming in.
I'll give you
pleasure.
My last sort of goodbye advice, right? I was asked to talk about personal brand recently and I was looking for some photographs, right? And it was going back to this point about getting out your own way because you need to understand that your story is worth telling, right? I've always been hamstrung by the fact that I think people care about me a lot more than they do, right? Yeah. So I saw this photograph and it was me running a marathon for a charity with some friends, right? So it's got double green ticks all over it, right? And I remember that I was hamstrung, like in pain through anxiety, because I was having to wear a 9-foot inflatable green alien costume, right? And my other 2 mates were doing it as well. So I've got that to worry about. I've got my time to worry about. I've got my cankles to worry about. I'm thinking everyone's going to be looking at me, right? There's a moment in time captured by a photographer, and there's these 3 9-foot green inflatable aliens running through the streets of Birmingham amongst hundreds of other runners, and all of those people are there to support them. And in that moment in time, no one
was looking
at me. I'm in a 9-foot green alien costume. Yeah. Everyone's in their own stress loops.
It's a reality check.
Everyone else is worried about their time. Everyone is worried about their dinner tonight. Everyone else is worried about their batteries within their inflatable costume. And if you remember that, personal brand will always become a little easier, because no one cares about you as much as you think they do.
Brilliant.
So go and tell your story, have some fun with it. And if you want to join Recruitment Founders Club, let us know. We'll have some fun.
Advice, mate. Thank you very much.
Nice one, Paige.
Cheers.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks for listening to the Recruitment Founders Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on your favourite podcast platform or YouTube so you never miss an episode. Connect with us on LinkedIn to join our community of founders and mentors, or visit our website to learn more about how we can help you launch, grow, and thrive in your recruitment business.